Welcome back to MyRider, everybody, and Noah Peeters is preparing for a race in his home country. It's the Tour de Wallonie, and it's 5 stages, and we start with a flat stage. And Intermarché bring a strong team that is built around Biniam Girmay after a brilliant Tour de France again from the Eritrean.
I'll avoid any extreme effort.
The main thing to grasp today is that the route is flat and without any difficulties. But be on your guard as the wind can lead to bordures. Don't get caught out. We can aim for the podium and maybe even more if all goes our way. Have a good stage, guys!
So here we go then, the first intermediate sprint of the race, and we have a 4-rider breakaway up the road. Guillaume Boivin is the best of the 4 riders, but we are battling for the intermediate sprint right now, and the gap is not massive to the breakaway riders. We are keeping them on a tight leash so far in this stage, but once again this wall is forming at the front of the peloton, so we're going to have to try and figure out how we are going to get through this wall. But there are plenty of good sprinters at this race, the likes of Jonathan Milan, Tim Merlier, Jasper Philipsen, etc. And it's going to be incredibly difficult for us to get a result here, but we will try our best. Off we go, get the inside line round that corner, and we are in the draft of everybody. This could be a perfectly timed sprint from us because other riders will slow down, and we just about get there to take victory from the peloton. And 5th place at the intermediate sprint. A good start from Binny. And it's a start that matches his form at the moment because at the Tour de France, Biniam Girmay won the green jersey in this universe and a couple of stages as well to strengthen Intermarché 1T season, which admittedly has been much better than their real life season. But that's real life and this is the game, and we've got 2.5 kilometres until the next intermediate sprint. Once again, the breakaway are sprinting for it, and Boivin takes an easy win there. But we are more focused on our rivals in the peloton because the breakaway have not got a big gap at all, and they are not strong enough to keep this one to the line. We take the inside round that corner, and we are on the wheel of Philipsen, who goes a little bit early, and we are going to try and thread our way through a couple of the sprinters here. Christoph to our left, Philipsen to our right, Meeus as well trying to hold on after a long effort, but he does, and he just about gets to the line ahead of us. That is a very strong sprint from Jordi Meeus, and perhaps he is the man in form. But it's not just a simple sprint, as the sports director said. We've got crosswinds, and here they come over this bridge. We are in the leading split at the moment, but the peloton has yet to force any gaps. It is Arne Marit that is pressing on the front for us, so we are trying to force the gaps, and indeed they are happening. Paul Magnier is already caught behind. That's one of our rivals out of the way. Admittedly not a big one, but look at the amount of groups now spread all over the road. And the pace from Arne Marit has meant that within the final 3 kilometres, there are only 32 riders at the front of the race partaking in the stage win. And it's Little Trek that are controlling things at the moment. It's Tom Schoens on the front. He will lead out Mads Pedersen, and Pedersen will lead out Jonathan Milan, who's managed to stick in the leading split. Schoens pulls off, and Pedersen is unlikely to go at the moment. He lets Schoens go a little bit more on the front, but there's the attack from Biniam Girmay. He launches the sprint early, goes round Milan, and goes round everybody else. Can he be caught? It's Philipsen on the left-hand side, and he just about gets there. Girmay tying up towards the line. He went early, and he paid the price, but Jasper Philipsen timed it to perfection. So Philipsen takes the opening stage, and we were so close, but I think that says a lot about Biniam Girmay's sprinting form at the moment. He clearly is the strongest guy. He just needs to get it right and time his sprint better, and that means that we could come away from this race with a stage win and perhaps the green jersey because we're in a decent position after those intermediate sprints. But right now, Philipsen leads the general classification ahead of Biniam Girmay and Tim Merlier in 3rd. Hopefully we can improve our result at the next sprint stage, but that comes after a time trial, and I'm going to skip that because we've got no chance of winning or doing anything. There we are, Filippo Ganna wins the time trial ahead of Brandon McNulty, Josh Tarling, Stefan Kung and Wout van Aert rounding out the top 5, and that completely changes the general classification. because now Ganna leads the way, of course, after his time trial win. Van Aert jumps to second, with Tarling third.
With a slope of over 4% in the final kilometre, it's very likely that the punchers are also contemplating stage victory.
Come on, guys. You've got to be awake right from the start. With a climb at the beginning and an intermediate sprint after that, the Mouradeur and the sprinters could liven things up from the outset. Go!
So this stage could be more suited to Biniam Girmay than we first thought because of that small climb in the final section. It should be able to ward off the purer sprinters like Merlier or Milan, but we will worry about that later because coming up is the first intermediate sprint of the race, and immediately there is a split at the front of the peloton. We've got a 3-rider breakaway up the road, including Fabio Leinhard and Ludovic Robert, but they have not been given a big gap either. Once again, it's the sprinters teams that are incessant on keeping them on a short leash, but we're in good position approaching this intermediate sprint, which is uphill, so I'm going to time my sprint a little later, but forward go the peloton and increasing the pace, and I'm going to have to attack super early here to try and get in the wheels of the sprinters, but they've gone early as well, and that means that we are sprinting in the wind and not on a wheel. Hopefully they tie up before the end because they did go super early, but it doesn't look as if so. We've got Matthews on our wheel, and in the end we are not going to get there. It's going to be 10th place for us with Matthews in 11th. We beat Milan, but we are losing vital points to Jasper Philipsen. Opportunity for redemption at the next intermediate sprint, which comes in 3 kilometers time, but once again we are not positioned too well. Hopefully we can use some of the corners in the lead up to the intermediate sprint to move up, but the peloton are absolutely flying down this descent approaching the intermediate sprint, and we have no chance of getting towards the front, so we are going to have to feed off scraps. It's the sprinters teams that have brought all the flat engines to this race because there aren't too many hills on this route, and it's showing because we've been stuck behind one of them, Max Walscheid, the big German. We've been stuck behind his frame, and now we're going to have to really feed off scraps and take the minor placings and the minor points, but actually we just about get through and past Gaviria and co, just behind Jasper Philipsen, so we don't lose too much. We limit our losses, but it is still a loss of points in the long run. And with 20 kilometers to go, the trio up front of Leinhard, Sheehan and Robert have been caught, and that opens up the opportunity for Noah Peeters to go for a sneaky King of the Mountains jersey run. Let's see what we can do with Peeters. He's relatively well positioned. He's going to have to sprint through the gaps, and with the pace as high as it is, I don't think many riders are going to want to sprint for this, so we're going to try and take what we can and get the points at the top of this climb. It's only 1 point, but it could prove vital for us. But back to the sprinters we go, because there are 3 kilometers left in the stage and an important left-hander to be traversed. Everybody wants to be the first into this left-hand 90-degree bend, and all of the teams are fighting for it. In the end, it's a massive plenty of riders from plenty of different teams that go through it, but in the end, Lidl Trek kick out of the corner best and they get prime position, but they're being usurped by the Alpecin-de-Koning train. It's Sylvain Dillier leading out Jasper Philipsen in the green jersey, but there's a flyer off the front. It's all happening, and it's Jonas Ruch of Intermarché Wanty that has gone off the front. He's going to be caught by the sprinters, and now who can take advantage? The sprinters have gone early. Morgado's got a gap, but Van Aert on the left-hand side just about gets there on the bike throw. He timed his effort, the sprinters didn't, and he's denied Morgado what would have been a brilliant stage win for the Portuguese rider. Wout van Aert wins stage 3. 3 stages down, 3 different stage winners, but 2 of them are Belgians. None of them, though, are Belgian, but Biniam Girmay did get to the line 1 position ahead of Jasper Philipsen, but that is not going to move the needle too much in the green jersey. Van Aert of Visma Lease Bike takes the stage win, and Filippo Ganna still manages to hold his yellow jersey, but the gap has been closed because of those bonus seconds that Van Aert got for winning the stage. Here are the results in full. Van Aert ahead of Morgado, and then Pogacar third. Kung, impressive 4th place for him, with Biniam Girmay in 6th and Jasper Philipsen 7th. So as I was saying, we gain a little bit of pointage over Jasper Philipsen. but actually we probably lose over the long run based on the intermediate sprints. Can we win the green jersey at this race? You'll have to find out in the next episode, because that concludes episode 9 of MyRider. If you did enjoy this one, leave a like on the video and subscribe if you're new to the channel, because it really does help. Appreciate you all the support. And for the newer viewers joining, there is a playlist of all the videos so you can catch up on previous episodes if you want to do that and keep a part of this storyline pro leader mode. But that's it from me. Stay safe, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.